Okay, can everybody see this okay? Nice and clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Function notation and evaluation is what we covered yesterday. In order to be able to simplify and solve functions, we need to understand the vocabulary that goes behind it. Function notation is when we take away y and we put f of x in its place. So we learned what input and output was. We forgot to put input up here, so I'm going to put input above this so you know what x is. Input is x. It's what you're putting into the function to then get the output, which is y. So please add that piece up there. Input. We input x in for anywhere we see x. So if there's an x here, it goes there, and if there's an x here, it goes there. That continues on if we're dealing with quadratic functions, cubic functions, absolute value functions, rational functions. If there's multiple x's and you're given a value for it, you have to plug it in for everything. Everybody with me? So what is input? Which variable? X. What's output? Y. So the entire function is this piece, 2x plus 3. The function will change. The x values will change. So you need to be able to hold yourself accountable for reading what's there when you're referencing other material. Does that make sense? So when I'm looking at this one, we had to know the difference. This was case 1. Case 1 is when you're given, this is what I'm writing in that's extra, given an input. What's input again? X. You're given an input. Option 2 is when you're given an output, which is what variable? Y. You notice on the first example we have simplify, which is through GEMDAS. Remember that? GEMDAS. Grouping, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. Okay? We simplify case 1 because you're evaluating through substitution. In case 2, you are solving using the opposite or backwards of GEMDAS, which is you start with addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, exponents, then any additional grouping symbols. Okay? So if you don't know that, you can write it to the side if you'd like. So I would say solve and then write that backwards. So it'd be SADMEG. And this is why color coding is so essential in most things. So you know what's going where and what goes with what. Like now I know that goes with this up here, the output, and this goes with the input. Any questions there? So very quickly going over this, I got f of 7. Can you say that? F of 7. That's how you read it. F of 7, they told me what is actually 7? X. So anywhere I see an X, I'm going to put a what? So F of 7 equals 2. That stays the same. What goes in the place of X? Parentheses 7 plus what? Because that was already there. It does not change. Everybody with me? Order of operations tells me to multiply first. 2 times 7 gets me 14. Bring down plus 3. Then 14 plus 3 gets me 17. Any questions there? Those who weren't here, are you following okay? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Looking here, I have f of x. Can you say that for me? F of x equals 7. Can you say that? When it's given f of x like this, they're giving you what variable? The y, because it's the entire thing. If x does not have a number in its place, it's always going to be y. Everybody with me? So they're telling me y is equal to what? So I'm not plugging in for x, I'm plugging in for this entire piece. So when it looks like this, the number that they give you should be on the side by itself. Everybody with me? So we take the same function, bring it down, 2x plus 3. Okay? But now it's set equal to 7. Two-step equation. First step, subtract 3, get it away from there. Everybody good on that? 7 minus 3 is 4, equals 2x. To get x by itself, divide by the coefficient, which is 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Will I accept both of these answers? Absolutely, because they're both equivalent to each other. That's called the reflexive property. Y'all have not seen that yet. Y'all have used it, but y'all never saw the word for it. Any questions? Everybody still with me? Those who are not here yesterday, don't freak out about not getting this written. You're okay. This video is already pre-recorded. It's already uploaded. I've checked it, ran it, made sure that it was good. It's also on my VR spot, so you have multiple places to watch it, okay? Don't stress. This is your time to ask me any questions if you're stuck anywhere, because y'all know what's happening today. You have a daily grade today, so which means I need to know what you know. And if you're unsure, you need to talk to me, okay? So, f of x is what? It's going to be what? Which is y. This 2 came from here. Again, the function's going to change. The x is going to change. The y is going to change. You have to know where it's coming from. So the function itself is given. You have to know the function you're using. Does that make sense? If you don't know the function, you can't work the machine. If you don't have a toaster, can you get toast? No, because you don't have the machine. You have to know what machine you're using. Does that make sense? Any questions? Those who are like, what is she talking about toast? Y'all didn't get to hear the conversation we had about you don't get bread and toast the same way. The people who weren't here yesterday. When you put bread in the toaster, are you getting the same bread out? You're getting an output of toast. So it's not the same. Same thing here. When you have an egg in a frying pan, when you put the egg in the frying pan, are you getting the same egg that you just put in back out? No. And in most of y'all's cases, it's going to be scrambled. Y'all don't want no runny eggs. Oh, bye. We love a good runny yolk in this household. But it has to be over easy medium. Not like fully raw at the top. I can't get behind that, and that's just because it's a texture thing for me. But crispy edges with a little bit of that, if you don't have a sauce, it works great. So, your palates will mature as you get older. I promise. I used to hate mushrooms, and now I'm like, I can eat some mushrooms. Well, you're literally eating fungus. And I was one of those people that were like, ugh, like who eats that uncultured? Now I'm like, it's adding something here. So, this is what I mean by your functions can change. Your machine can change. Because am I using the same function that I had above?
Yes.
No. Because the function I had above was what? Can you read that for me? 2x plus 3. But what's the new function I'm using? The function changed, but the actual steps remain the same. So if I'm looking at this one, they gave me an output first. Do you see that? So this is option 1. This is the first step that I did up here. These go together. For this one, they gave me the output first. That's 2. So they gave me the output first. I have to find the input. For option 1, they gave me the input first. I got to find the output. Any questions there? It's the same thing, just a different example. Okay? Everybody good? Kylie, you got to wake up. That's 3 times. Looking at B. We went through A yesterday before we left. Let's look at B. I have f of x equals 2x minus 3 for f of x equals 15. So pay attention to what they gave you. They gave you f of x equals 15. Is that a case 1 or a case 2 on your front page? Case 2. Because you see that there's nothing in the place of x. I just highlighted that. Remember? If there's nothing in the place of x, you have to say it's case 2. Because now you're looking for x. So how do I use this to set this up? What would need to come first? Equals. And we solved this 2-step equation, right? So what's the first step? Plus 3. What's coming down? Because those 3's cancel out. I agree with that. What's being plugged into the calculator? 15 plus 3. Remember, you write and you type. You write and you type. They get you what? 18. Perfect. From there, what do I need to do?
Divide 2 on both sides.
Perfect. What's being typed in?
18 divided by 2.
Let's do that. What that get you?
9. X equals 9. 9.
Perfect. Will I accept either answer?
Yes.
Sure will. Any questions there? Y'all see how y'all are getting it? Because it's skills that we've already done in a different context. All right, let's look at C. F of x equals x plus 7 minus x squared for f of negative 3. Is this a case 1 or a case 2? Case 1. Because do we see something in the place of x? Yes or no? Do you see something in the place of x?
Yes.
What? Negative 3. So what am I replacing x with?
Negative 3.
Absolutely. So how would I rewrite this? What would need to come first? F of negative 3 equals. Are we missing something? Parentheses. Because when you're substituting in, are they essential? Yes. What comes behind that? Plus 7. Then,
Minus
parentheses,
x.
not x, but
2.
negative 3. Thank you, parentheses squared. When you're doing squared, they also get kicked out of there, okay? Are we simplifying or solving this? Simplifying. So, are there any grouping symbols I need to simplify the inside of?
Negative 3.
Is there anything to simplify inside of there? Is there anything to simplify inside of there? Anything to simplify inside of here? So, you move on. E, exponents. Is there anything to simplify exponent-wise? Negative 3 squared. Do I need to plug it in with parentheses? Yes, let's do that. Type in negative 3, so parentheses, negative 3, close parentheses, squared. If you're unsure of how to type it in, please say something. Pause, give people time. You know better than that. Everybody get it typed in? What'd y'all get? So what goes behind the 7? Plus 9. Are we sure it's plus? But there's a negative there. Hang on. You cannot distribute when there's an exponent. That gave you a positive 9, but what was in front of that parentheses to begin with? A negative. So it turns it back into a what? That's why you do this step by step. Is it making sense? Because what happens when I retype in the same thing, but instead I put a negative in front of that? Watch. What did it just give me? From there, are there any more exponents? No? So we're moving on. Any multiplication or division happening? Yes or no? No. Addition and subtraction? The whole remaining thing is addition and subtraction, right? So can I just type in that whole piece there? So type in negative 3 plus 7 minus 9. Give everybody time. Well, minus 9. What'd y'all get? And I agree. So how do I read the whole answer? Of? Perfect. Remember what I said yesterday? Being able to read it is more than half of understanding it. That's what I want you to do, okay? Any questions on these three that we just did? Everybody good?
I did that question.
All right, ask me. This is the time.
Like, is it, like, are you working backwards? 'Cause it's like,
Baby, no. Order of operations is done GEMDAS. That is simplifying. Solving is backwards. That's why we wrote the notes on the other side. You have to know the difference. Simplifying is not solving, and solving is not simplifying. They are two separate skills that you need to know the order to do them in. So, good, valid question. Make sure you're taking those notes. That way you know where it's coming from, okay? Looking at D. F of x equals 7x minus 3 for f of x equals negative 38. Is this a case 1 or a case 2? What was it, Denver? 2. So how would I rewrite this? Am I solving or simplifying this? Am I solving or simplifying? Solving, because I'm trying to get x by itself. That's the difference between these two. These two are simplifying. These two are solving. So, how do I get x by itself? What's the first step? Plus 3 on both sides. Add 3 on both sides. Both mean the same thing. Absolutely. What's being typed in? Type that in, please. Give your people time to type it. Negative 38 plus 3. What'd you get? What comes after that? Perfect, because those cancel out. What's next? What's being typed in? Perfect. Get that typed in for me. What'd you get? What's behind it? Equals. Or. Are they both good answers? Great. So, this is what I mean by take notes to help you understand what's going on. For these two, the goal is to simplify. For these two, the goal is to solve. Because this is a case 1 and this is a case 2. Those are called active notes. Those are not typically what the teacher tells you to write. You write those for yourself. And that's the big difference maker between a lot of people being successful in doing things like math and algebra and those who struggle consistently. That's the biggest thing I had to learn in high school and in college, because I did not get study guides when I was in college for math courses. Because my teacher looked me in the face, Cal 1, and said, "Don't you have notes? Don't you have a book?" And I said, "You right." So I made my own study guides. I got an A in all of those, and that ain't a high school class. That's a college class. That ain't to brag. That's to tell you it's possible. These small notes help a bunch. If you don't see me write them, you write them. Any questions? This is finding our x and y algebraically, okay? So, I'm going to write that above example 1. That's algebraically. That's doing all the math. Example 2 is graphically. I paused it on algebraically so those who need to know how to spell it. Everybody good on algebraically? Graphically. That's example 2. You can do the same thing with the graph. Just find the point. So you need to know if they gave you x or y first, and then you work from there. Does that make sense? So if I'm looking at letter A, I have f of 3. Is this a case 1 or a case 2?
Case 1.
Case 1. So did they give me an input or an output? Input, which is what variable? X. So they told me x is what I'm doing here. So my ordered pair should start with 3. And I'm looking for y. when we look at x on the coordinate plane, is it my horizontal or vertical axis? Is it my horizontal or vertical axis?
Horizontal.
Horizontal. Label it. That's x. So that makes the vertical axis automatically what? So if they told me x is 3 from the origin, what direction am I going in? Right. How far? 3. Do I have to go anywhere to meet my graph? Nope. It's right there. That's the point I'm looking for. So when x is 3, what is y? What number? Nope. 0. Making it an x-intercept. Because isn't it intersecting the x-axis? Any questions there?
I got one.
Sir.
It's just something like a little question. So like, is it 0 just because like there's like no other number about like?
The thing is, if it didn't go up or go down, it's automatically going to be 0 because it's not moving anywhere.
Oh yeah.
So if it was right there, it'd be 1 because that's when y is 1. But since it's on the x-axis, y is always 0 on the x-axis. Make sense? There you go. Looking at B, f of 4, is this a case 1 or a case 2? Case 1, so am I given an x or a y? An x. X is what? 4. So from the origin, where am I going? To the right by how much? 4. Do I have to go up or down to meet my graph? What was it? Down. How far? What kind of 5? Because you had to go where? There you go. Any questions there? Is it making sense what I'm doing?
Oh, well, I didn't see what happened.
Did they give me an x or y?
They give you an X.
So, from the origin, where do I need to go?
To the right.
How far?
To 3.
No.
I'm at 4.
And then, to meet my graph, do I have to go up or down?
Down.
Down. How far?
Negative.
You see how I'm circling where it hits?
Yeah.
That's why I'm doing that. That way you see what I'm looking at. And that's where the answer comes from. Any questions? But notice I'm making coordinate points. Remember those ordered pairs I showed you? That vocabulary from this morning? There it is. It always comes full circle at one point. Okay? Looking right here. C, f of negative 1. Did they give you x or y? X. X is what? So I'm looking for y. From the origin, where do I need to go? Nope. To the left, how far? 1, because there's negative 1 on the x-axis. Do I have to go anywhere? So what does that make y? You're looking for those points. Any questions? Looking at D, f of 0. Do they give me x or y? X. So from the origin, do I need to go anywhere? No. But for y, where do I need to go? Up, how far? 3. Because that's where it hits it. That makes that a y-intercept. Any questions there? Looking at E, f of x equals 4. Did they give you an x or a y? Does this look like this? If they don't look the same, can they be the same? That's why I'm asking you now, okay? Any questions there? So that x or y? Y. Thank you. So what is y in this case? 4. So we're looking for x, okay? From the origin, where do I need to go? Up, how far? Do I need to go left or right to meet my graph? Right, how far? The ordered pair is 1, 4. Everybody with me? F. I have f of x equals 3. Did they give you an x or a y? So what's my y? So from the origin, where do I need to go? Mm-mm. Uh-uh. Y. From the origin, where do I need to go? What direction? Up 3. Do I need to go anywhere to get to the actual graph itself? No. So what's x automatically going to be? Uh-uh. Shouldn't those match? Because they're on the same graph? Look at these two right here. When x is 0, what was y?
3.
When y is 3, what should x be automatically if we're on the same graph? 0, because aren't these on the same graph? That's one of the biggest things. I'm teaching you how to pay attention to those details. That is the same point. So if you don't know that, I'd write it. Any questions there? G, f of x equals -5. So, did they give you an x or a y?
Y.
What's y in this case? So we're looking for x, yes? From the origin, where do I need to go?
Down.
Down. How far?
5.
5, because that's -5. And then, how far?
2.
So that makes it a what kind of 2? But do you notice something? Are they at the same y? So how many points should I actually be writing? Nope. How many fingers do I have pointing? So how many points should you be writing? Duh. Any questions there? They're at the same y value. Attention to detail. So, what should be my first point? Go from left to right. From here, what's to the left?
-2.
What's this one? Mm-mm.
But why is this?
Go to the right by,
4.
that's what goes there.
Why is she making up that right?
Snack card, anybody? I think we're good. Thank you. All right, f of x equals 0, okay? So, is this x or y? Y. So, from the origin, do I need to go anywhere? No, because it told me when y is 0, that's still 0. So, do I see 1 point or multiple points? Multiple. Where's the first one?
To love.
To the left, at? Where's the other one at? You're okay. +3. So how do I write that point?
3.
Absolutely. And those are our answers. Any questions there? Everybody good? Okay, this is going to be the quickest daily grade you ever had. I want you to do A, and I want you to do D. A and D. I'm going to put my examples back on the board. Overall, it wasn't bad. It's just some people who struggled. I saw that we were really, really struggling. So please make sure that you are paying attention. Ask any necessary questions that you need while we go through this. Looking at letter A, is this a 1 or a 2?
A 2.
Mm-mm.
A 1.
Because did they give you an X or a Y? An X. So what am I having to do with this X? Plug it in wherever I see it, correct? So how would I rewrite this? What needs to come first? Of. What goes in the place of X? There we go. Am I simplifying or solving this? Simplifying. So, you can't solve something that you already know all the numbers to. You can only simplify it. So what's the first thing I need to do with simplifying this? Order of operations. Is there any grouping symbols to simplify the inside of? Is there any exponents? So what's next? What's being plugged to the calculator? This is where we're messing up, because some people messed up on this part horrendously. So what's being plugged to the calculator first? If we're doing the order of operations. I already said G and E are out. There's no grouping symbols to simplify. There's no exponents. What comes after G and E? M and D. What does M stand for? And D stands for? Do I see any of those two here? What's multiplying? So we need to type that in. -2 times -3. Let's do that. -2 times -3 gets us? Thank you. What needs to come down? Thank you. Is there any more multiplication or division? No. So what's the last two? Add or subtract. So there's addition here. What's 6 plus 4? F of -3 equals 10. Any questions there?
That's the answer?
Yep. And it looked just like option 1 that I had on the board.
I got one thing wrong, messed up.
Exactly. One mistake can mess up the entire thing. I've already said that. That happens. But again, it's better for you to mess up on this than you to mess up on your test. So, second one.
Teachers, students, I apologize for this interruption, but at this time we need all members of the golf team to report to the cafeteria, please. Golf team to the cafeteria.
Ain't not a one of y'all in here. Not a one. Looking at D, focus, focus. We're trying to get this done, right? Did they give you an input or an output? Output. So how would I rewrite this? Absolutely. I don't know where people are getting 8 from. No clue.
From the first.
Absolutely. Because you were referencing it, but you were copying it verbatim. I told you do not do that. You have to use the function that they gave you. The work is the same, but the problems are not. So, am I solving or simplifying here? Solving. So what's the first step? What's coming down? What's 10 minus 4? Equals. What needs to happen next? So, what's 6 divided by -2?
3.
Equals what?
X.
Or?
Why'd I put -2?
Because you just rewrote the same number twice. I literally said that. Any questions here? Do you see what the mistakes are?
I think that's a 3.
Guys, here's the thing. You see all of these practice problems that I left. You see those. These are what you take to tutoring on Wednesday and Thursday. This is what you get help with on paper. This is what you use when you come and talk to me when you don't know what you're doing. That way I can help you. But if you don't use these practice problems the way they're supposed to be used, you will not see success. You will not see growth. Any questions? Please do your practice problems. You will see the greatest change in your grade when you do. I hope those who are talking while I'm talking pass their quizzes for this unit and their test. And I hope you get 100 on that daily grade for this when we go and do it for homework and stuff, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Because if you're talking over me, you must know more than me. You must have your degree. You must have a diploma at that. No? I didn't think so. Don't talk over people while they're talking to you. That's the most disrespectful thing in the world. And this is recorded. I'm not cutting this out. I'm leaving it in there. So when someone asks me for documentation again, I can say, you heard them talking over me while I was trying to give them good advice to use. You know, as someone who passed with a 4.0. Make sure your stuff gets finished and turned in. Completion is the grade. Do not say anything about me not telling you, because I just did.